By the early 1800s, the Chinese ran a series of plantations and processing factories near the sugarcane farms. This is because the harvested sugarcane has to be processed near where it is grown, like 24 to 48 hours after harvest. The sucrose inside the cane decays quickly. The Chinese imported specialized wooden equipment tools from their homeland to handle this processing. After cutting the cane, you press it in order to squeeze out the juice, a labor-intensive process operated by 2 water buffaloes. After then, you heat up the juice to boil off the water and thicken the sugar juice into a syrup. The Chinese sugar boilers carefully modify the heat to facilitate the creation of sugar crystals within this syrup. The crystals are then taken out of the syrup in a process called tapping out. We put the syrup into upside-down cones and cover the tops of those cones with wet clay. After a few days, we open the bottom and let the syrup run off. The remaining sugar crystals are classified by their color. The layers of sugar right underneath the dried clay often turn white and is considered the best. Deeper down, the sugar turns dark. This is not as valuable. The remaining syrup is sold as molasses. The crystals are recooked, pounded into powder, and sold. Chinese immigrants largely ran this process and did the skilled labor, funded by either the VOC or the government. In terms of manual labor, a plantation had about 150 to 200 workers and recruited from the north coast, since Batavia in the early 1800s was pretty sparse. Growing without restraints or checks from the government, the VOC grew corrupt and cruel. Their fall took decades and is beyond the scope of this video. Nevertheless, it did fall into bankruptcy, and the Dutch government eventually nationalized it in 1799. With the trade monopoly abolished, an opportunity for sugar came when prices rose due to a slave revolt in 1791 in what is now modern Haiti. Chinese and European entrepreneurs expanded their production of sugar. In 1816, the extent of Dutch holdings in Java was basically a few port cities in Batavia plus the sugar plantations surrounding that city. But after taking direct control, the Dutch government continued the VOC's conquest of the Javanese lands. There was a brief lapse starting in 1811 when the British, led by Stamford Raffles, took over Java for 5 years and tried to establish land taxes, elected village governments, and free trade. But per the Convention of London in 1814,